right, so these were three questions we had. How does inquiry connect to the primary grades? Which steps of the inquiry process should we complete? Which can we skip? That was a good question.
It was.
Oh man, and how can the inquiry process be completed in a hybrid model? That was good too. All right, so I think you've got these, right?
Okay, well, I can start with the first question of how does inquiry connect to the primary grades?
Right.
All right, so science inquiry can be taught in all grade levels K-12. And after learning about the different steps of the inquiry process, you still can relate it to the primary grades. So one way I can see of how to use it is to really look at the levels of inquiry that you're going to be using in your lessons. So in the primary, it would be more towards of the structured inquiry, that guided, where the teacher is in control. It's a teacher-led inquiry, where the teacher determines the question and goes through the process with his or her students. Mm-hmm. By doing that, you're teaching the students the skills, and they're still able to learn how to go through this inquiry process, just more with the guided, with the teacher-led approach. As the students get older, then you can also start to release two. Now, you can do like you could create a full inquiry for primary. There would just need to be a lot of procedures already in place with the students and the teacher. But I would recommend starting with the structured where the teacher is in control at the beginning, especially with the primary. Then you can release to have the students start to take control as you feel comfortable in the class. So that's how I would say it is possible to do inquiry at the primary grades. One strategy to help that be accomplished is what level of inquiry are you using within the lessons?
Yeah, I think we've really discovered there's so many different flavors to what is inquiry and what's appropriate at each of the grade levels. And I love that idea that the lower you are on the grades, scheme, pre-K, K, first and all that, they're really just sowing seeds. I mean, they're putting, they're getting it started. So do something, anything down that level. It's great because then when the kids get up in the third and fourth, like they've been there, they've done that. It's not a new thing. And for teachers, it's a big change for us at the secondary level. When you get those kids because life is good. It's very good. And you have a lot of fun and they get into it.
And really, just like you said, focusing on the first steps of just making observations and asking questions, if was a focus for a pre-K or a kindergarten class, I mean, that's doing inquiry in the classroom.
Yeah, that leads on to the second question, right? So
yes. Now, on my screen, I'll say, John, on my screen, I don't see the questions. I see it's cut off.
Oh, there's nothing.
Like I can see CH, can we skip?
Okay, I'll stop the sharing then. We're just going to have to do it, I guess.
That's fine.
No, okay, we're good. We're learning. Second question, which steps of the inquiry process should we complete? Which can we skip? And that is, okay, so that's me. That was me. At the secondary level is like, all right, let's start off with the hypothesis. And I have been humbled, and you learn that it's worth taking time to do observations. If all they do is observe so much, and then work your way into questioning, and then work your way into predictions, and then the hypothesis, you don't even go to hypothesis, can you support your prediction? And now it's a natural progression. And it's just a little baby steps that the students can handle, we can handle, and it works. So I was telling you, I was with a high school student who wants to do a research project, and it's just like an elementary where they want to do 1,000 things. And I said, what can you get done in 3 weeks? And he gave me what he could get done in 3 years. So I retreated back to this. I said, well, let's just think about things you've observed about this thing you want to do, which was a really cool project. And I said, well, why don't you write down these observations you're making and questions? What are the questions you want to do? You got to pick one question. And then, work on what predictions can you make, and then think, how can you measure it and on. So if I had said, well, what hypotheses do you have? okay, or process, or what is your engineering task you want to complete? Or do you have a procedure?
Hmm.
That is way, 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 way premature. You got to go back, and it makes a natural progression as you go.
And I think from the at least with the elementary level, what's when you think of like science fair projects, why students struggle so much with it is because they're skipping steps. They're not trying to think about something they're interested in. They're just trying to complete something that they've done in the past, and they're jumping into, okay, here's my hypothesis. Where was the background? Where did you the background knowledge from that with all that? And then they skip it, and we see, and as we're going, when I went through this process inquiry, I saw the value of going through each step sequentially and
Hmm.
really taking that time, because as we said, those observations are the foundation for your questions. All those questions is the foundation for your one question, and the one question is the foundation for your prediction hypothesis. It just all leads together. So I feel by skipping steps, that's where the struggle sometimes comes.
Yeah, very, very much so. Now I'm going to pause just for a second, and we're going to re-up here in a minute. Oh, we're back. You didn't know we're going.
That's right. No.
I like that.
So there is value in going through all the steps of the inquiry process. So there's not really one that you can skip. You shouldn't skip, in my opinion. You
Now,
need to go because each step builds on the next.
yeah, and we're trying to make your life easy, right?
Yes.
This makes your life easy. And you think, well, they'll run out of things to do in the questioning stage. And oh my word, no, you can spend, oh my word, hours on the questioning stage and processing and going back.
And a good tip that I've learned with working with teachers is a lot of them have created this I wonder wall.
Oh, yes.
Set that up at the beginning of the year. As students have questions, just plot it up there. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to answer those questions this year, but you have a set of questions. So if a student has time to do a little project, or if it comes to completing a personal inquiry, they can pull questions from that wonder wall.
Very good.
Those come from observations.
Yeah, for every elementary teacher is doing that. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Love that idea.
Last question. How can the inquiry process be completed in a hybrid model?
Which we are seeing a lot more now.
Yes.
These days.
Well,
I still think that you can go through all the steps. Some would lead more towards with the hybrid of the e-learning. So I could see having students do the observations and creating the questions at home.
Yes.
When they're doing on their e-learning days. Have those set up. And then when you get to needing to do your prediction hypothesis, those could be more done as a discussion in class.
Right.
Now, can you do the other two in class? Yes, you can. You can do observations and questioning. But if you're trying to figure out how you could fit this into a hybrid model and still have the students progress through all the steps naturally, that's one idea I have.
Yeah, this is really good, because I think a lot of times in science, we teach science as a series of activities that the kids are getting through. The processing is the valuable part. If they can do those activities on their own, there's so much of this. You can ask yourself, what in class do we need to discuss? And how much as a teacher should I do for those students who maybe didn't do too much at home, just to get them keyed up? And they should feel a little behind if they're not doing the home, maybe in the hybrid model. But when they come in, it makes your time in class so much more valuable, because you're doing the heavy lifting is happening there. A lot of this stuff is really light duty. I mean, even like writing procedures, kids can go home and they can draft their procedures, and you come back, and then in class you test them and you talk about them.
Yeah, and it really depends on your class too, what you feel they can or can do, because really all the steps could be done as the e-learning, full e-learning if you wanted to, of course, and as we know, they could do it in class. Depending on you would decide as the teacher, you would make the best decision on which steps you would want to use as in class and online. And it could change each year too. And even depending on your kids, just certain specific students too.
Exactly. Good stuff.
Yes.
All right. That's long enough, I think. And so
that works.
The Douglas and John Inquiry Show.
John and Douglas.
We'll keep alphabetical here. I can do that.
Oh, okay.
All
right. Episode 1. Hope you enjoyed.
And then I've got to figure out how to pause this thing. Okay.